Good afternoon and welcome to the Town of Riverhead Planning Board. Today is Thursday, July 20th, 2023. If you could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we do not have any public hearings this afternoon, so we will begin with our discussion items. And the first item up is Little Lucharitos, now known as Good Juju's Barbecue and Seafood, with Matt Charters.
Matt Charters, planner for the town of Riverhead for the record, and I have Mark Romania,
Hi, Mark. How are you?
the owner of the restaurant. So to be very brief on this one, this is to legalize some outdoor seating at the former Little Lucharitos, and as well as an encroachment into the neighboring property. Some gravel was placed incorrectly. The owner, Mark, has had actual approval for this outdoor seating since 2021 from the health department for 16 seats. There were some additional seats that were out by the road that he has since removed. There's also an outdoor cooking area, which we're looking to approve today too, that he'll need health department approval for, but very simple, just to approve the outdoor seating. In terms of the plans, we did get a site plan and floor plans. All the parking is good. They can accommodate the parking on site. If everyone's familiar, this is the Applebox Center where the puppy experience is. There's a tanning salon in there as well. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Just one correction that their design professional needs to make. It shows that there is 16 seats inside. They're only approved for 15, so they'll just have to make that revision. I do have a administrative approval prepared today. Conditions are included in the report, and that's really it.
Okay, I just want to make sure you said that the outdoor seating in the front of the restaurant has been
removed. I drove by
Okay.
this morning.
Because I was just concerned that there was no buffer in case
Yeah.
there was an accident or something happened there.
Want people to be safe.
I know that you run a very good business over there.
And the 16 seats are in figure 3?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep, on the side there. Any other questions?
How are you going to take one away?
Inside. So inside
Oh,
on their
that's-
site plan, it shows that they have 16. They only have approval for 15 though.
Oh,
So
yes.
just got to correct it. Okay.
Yeah, I personally like to say that you do a great job, very community-minded, and I think my wife follows you on one of your social
Uh-oh.
things, and she's always updating
My
me
apologies.
on
Your
what
wife.
you're doing, and it's
Thank you.
great, congratulations.
Yeah, I
trying,
love
I
what you just
appreciate
did
you.
downtown,
Yeah.
the Burgercade.
Thank you.
That's
You guys gotta
great.
come check it out.
Keep it going,
Yes.
Thanks. Trying.
All right.
Thank you. Thanks much.
thank you.
Thanks for your time.
All right. We'll move on now to Zorovich McKenzie lot line modification, and that is with Greg Bergman.
All right, thank you. For the record, Greg Bergman, planner with the town of Riverhead. We do have Charles Cuddy here, he's attorney for the applicant. So this one's a bit of a blast from the past for the board as well as myself. This was actually one of the first projects I worked on when I started here with the town of Riverhead. This was a lot line modification and a land exchange between two neighboring property owners in Riverhead. Properties are located at 8 Woodlawn Drive and 37 Hill Drive. Both properties were located in the RA 40 zoning district. Essentially what happened with this application is the way the parcels were configured, they were sort of interlocked with each other. What the applicants did is they, back in 1992, they effectuated a lot line modification application with the planning board to sort of square off the properties. The two neighboring owners were going to exchange equal portions of land to sort of just even out their properties. The lot line modification was originally approved in September 3rd of 1992, but they recognized later on that the deeds necessary to effectuate the change were never filed with the county. So in 2016, they came back before the planning board. Planning board again reapproved that lot line modification. It's now been almost 7 years, as I understand from Mr. Cuddy. The applicant has now finally obtained health department approval for the lot line modification. So basically, this subdivision, the approval,
No, I just was
Oh,
going to say,
all right.
I'm just going to add something to it. The reason it's been 30 years is that it's now a family matter. It's gone down from generation to generation. And so we couldn't get all the people to sign up that had to be signing for the health department and for this application. It just took all that time. And when we got to the health department, it just went slow. We couldn't get covenants signed because there weren't people
I'm
to
just
sign.
glad you didn't blame the planning board.
No, I just want you to know, it had nothing to do with the planning board. But if we could get it reapproved, we'd be grateful.
I personally know how long these things take, so I understand.
So facts and circumstances surrounding the properties, the land exchange is the exact same as it was back in '92 and when it was reapproved in 2016. So I do have a resolution on, New York town law allows the planning board its discretion to grant extensions of approval. So we have a resolution on to just extend the approval that allow the chairperson of the board to sign the maps and get this thing finalized after almost 30 years.
We could require 2 deeds.
So that was a question. There was original language in the approval that required, and this was going back to Dick Ehlers when he reviewed this. The language came from him. The original approval required the filing of confirmatory deeds and then deeds transferring the landowner to the neighboring owners. Again, this was something that I relied upon Dick Ehlers' experience on. I don't see a reason to change those conditions if they were originally required in 2016 and they were advised by council. Just the fact that 7 years now has passed, if the facts and circumstances are the same, I don't know that we would remove those conditions.
What does the title
I'd like to
company say?
speak to that for a second. What we're doing is we have these 2 small parcels, 624 square feet, and we're giving a deed, each neighbor to the other neighbor. So that straightens them out. What had been asked for was not only that deed, but another deed doing confirmatory of the entire parcel. That's going to happen if they sell it someday. I mean, I don't know why we need double deeds. We have one that says A is going to get B and B is going to get A, and then they want, what was requested was that A does an entire description and files another or records another deed, and B does that. And I don't know that you need to do that, because if they ever sell it, that's what they're going to have to do anyway. So I don't know why we need 2 sets of deeds, is what I'm saying.
Well, since I'm not the title company on that, I do not have an opinion on that.
Yeah, let me consider that for you. The other
Okay.
consideration is it's so much more money now. to
Yeah,
record
it's
deeds.
more money, and
it's a
it
lot more
doesn't
money.
really do anything for anybody.
Yeah. Well, let me talk to you about it.
Okay,
And then-
okay, I just want to bring that to everybody's attention.
Yeah, that's fine, that's fine.
So
Okay.
do we want to reapprove, do we want to table the resolution pending the legal
Well, it's
consultation?
been,
We-
it's been 30
Or do we
years
want
at
to
this
just
point.
remove those conditions from the,
Can you make it just subject to my approval?
That's fine with us, either way.
Amend it to say subject to my approval.
Uh,
Remove the conditions or no?
yeah, we could do that.
Okay.
Subject to, so it'll be subject to satisfaction to the council, to the planning board?
Yeah, that's fine.
Right.
And then I'll talk to Mr. Cuddy about it. I want to make sure, I don't want to just sound it, but I just want to say it.
All right,
Take a look at it. Okay.
all right, so we'll just, when we get to it'll be subject to satisfaction to the council, of the planning board, and we'll vote on that as amended.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, next we have Riverhead Cement Block Minor Subdivision with Greg again.
All right, so another one of the first applications I worked on is coming back again. So this was a 2-lot minor subdivision of the Riverhead Cement Block Co. and Company and Terry Contracting Materials Incorporated. This was approximately a 31-acre parcel located on the west side of Roanoke Avenue. At that point, it contained, there was some industrial buildings on the site, the 9-hole Sandy Pond Links Golf Course, as well as the Terry Contracting Materials site. Planning Board in 2016 approved a 2-lot minor subdivision. It essentially split the property down the middle, created 2 lots where Terry owned the northern portion of the lot, which contained the materials yard, and I believe it was Bryce Buckholz at the time, retained ownership of the golf course and the industrial buildings. Again, so the Planning Board approved this subdivision in 2016. It was subject to conditions including Health Department approval. Applicant has now gotten Health Department approval, so we're just looking again to grant an extension of approval for the subdivision.
Is Terry involved with this at all?
Yes,
Okay, because, is that your client?
yes.
At one point in time, when we did that subdivision, we asked him if he could, move that driveway to the northern part of the property, because the truck traffic and everything by the neighbors there was a little annoying. If you could just ask him, I mean, it wasn't a site plan, so we couldn't make him do it. But we asked him, and I know he started moving material over that way. If you could do that, it would be a great service to the neighborhood. Just so
Sure. No.
when you see him.
Certainly
Thank you.
do it. Yeah, one of the reasons it took a long time since the Buckholz died.
Yeah.
was it, so.
Does that interfere at all with the upcoming changes to the golf course?
No.
No, it just,
It's
it'll,
completely separate from the
Okay.
golf course.
No, I know that, but with the driveway, would that have
No,
any?
because the driveway would then go further north.
Okay,
So we-
okay, all right.
Greg, on your pictures, is it- because I don't remember the job. Figure 1, is that the piece that's being split?
yes, that was the piece that's being split, and again,
That's what I thought.
it was somewhat funny for me going back and revisiting my early reports just to see how they've evolved. But yes, the property located on figure 1 is the entirety of the property that's going to be split. And this was the subdivision. The northern portion of the property, this is the golf course, that's the Terry contracting site.
All right.
But I will go back and ask them.
Thank you.
We're all set with that?
Yep.
Let's move on to Seacrest Estates, formerly known as Villas at Roanoke.
All right, so this is a discussion of the conditions of approval. This was previously, as you said, the Villas at Roanoke major subdivision, which is a 14-lot residential subdivision on Sound Shore Road. It was approved by the planning board back in 2022.
Terry, how are you?
Throughout the review of this project, one of the conditions that the planning board felt was appropriate was the inclusion of a 4-foot chain link fence. As you recall, the 14 lots were clustered towards the center of the property, and there was approximately, I think, a 3.5-acre open space area that surrounded the property in sort of a horseshoe shape. What we consistently see in the planning department is a lot of times when there's open space buffers, if there's no physical delineation between that buffer, it sort of just becomes an extension of people's backyards. They'll go in, they'll clear into it, they'll put structures in there. So the board felt it was appropriate to require the inclusion of a 4-foot chain link fence to identify a physical delineation between the owner's lot and the open space lot. I got a request from the applicant to come in and revisit the conditions, the requirement for that fence. I have not seen any plans yet. I requested them, but I've not seen a proposal yet as to what they would recommend or what they would like to do.
I think the applicants are here, Mr. Simone, Mr. Schembri, who are the principals in Seacrest, just to discuss that question with you, the type of fence that's going to be there.
Right. Well, we had acknowledged the 4-foot fence and shown it on the maps. And when we sent in for the final plat, from the beginning of this process, we never intended to put a 6-foot chain link fence with barbed wire around the ponding area, which kind of runs up and adjacent to this other fence. And when you look at the whole scope of the project and you think about a 6-foot chain link fence, barbed wire around the ponding area, and then a 4-foot chain link fence running along the backs of all the property, and then maybe come in 20 feet and somebody puts a pool in and they got to put another fence around for the pool, and then maybe they want a fence in their backyard. So now it becomes like the land of fences, you know? And when I looked at the whole scope of the project and said, well, maybe there's another alternative, maybe there's something else there's some other compromise that we can come up with. I want to point out there is an HOA that we formed that, that are, these people, these 14 lots are gonna govern that property, that open space, and they're gonna manage it. So I can't imagine, that out of the 14 people, it's gonna be just do whatever you want, you know? It never really is when there's an association. They kind of, somebody takes it fairly seriously, there's president, a vice president, secretary, and so on. So what I was thinking was, you know, I would really like to, at the very least, eliminate the barbed wire on the top of the drainage area.
Well, so there's actually two sort of separate issues going on. One of the questions that Mr. Simone is referencing is to the drainage area. So on the plans, the understanding was that the roadway and the drainage area was going to be dedicated to the town of Riverhead. In order for it to be dedicated to the town of Riverhead, it would need to be designed to the town of Riverhead road and drainage standards, which includes a fence to, you know, if the town's gonna own this drainage area, a fence to prevent people from going into the area. So the fence around the properties is sort of separate and distinct from the fencing around the drainage area. So I don't wanna sort of conflate the two.
Well, I conflated, Greg, because they interplay with each other in the reality of when people are living that, you know? That's what they're
I
going to
think
be
what
looking
you're
at.
trying to say is you're gonna
So-
have high-end homes here, and you don't want it to look like they're in jail.
Yeah.
You're looking for the country setting that's gonna
Yeah,
fit in with the rest of the neighborhood.
and what took us back was, okay, we were all right with the 4-foot chain link. We would prefer a split rail around it, and, you know, if people want to take that down later on and put a pool in, you know, maybe they're gonna want to put a different kind of fence in, you know, that's up to them. Are they allowed to change that later on if they want to as well? You know, it's another issue, but when we got the 4-foot fence, and then at the very end, when we sent in our final plat, it was recognized, and only up until that point, that we never had question about putting a fence around the ponding area. That happened right at the last round when we sent in for our final plat and to get signed off.
When we first started,
So then it was like, okay, now we got, you know, this is out of hand. So we'd like some kind of compromise, you know, to minimize all this chain link. And,
Explain about the
And you did
ponding
say
area.
barbed wire, right?
what's that?
You did say barbed wire
Oh, yeah,
fence?
yeah, there's 6-foot fence, and then 3 razor wires on the top, angled
Is that what the,
in. That's what
the
the
town
code calls
requires?
for.
I believe that's in the road, I'd have to double check, but I believe that is in the road.
The town requires
Barbed wire
razor
fence.
wire?
Right.
Barbed wire.
so,
Barbed wire, yeah, they said razor wire.
About the ponding area? Okay.
So I've done a bunch of these projects with these type of ponding areas and swales. So the definition of a drainage easement, as far as it being, you know, it's a collection, but it's more of a, you know, aesthetically soothing type of thing, because it's kind of spread out. We're not digging down to China, X amount of feet with big slopes going down. This was supposed to be like a gradual ponding area. We've done a lot of them upstate New York, all through the Catskills. And there's no chain link on any of them. They're just natural swales that go in to these little areas. The water collects there, the vegetation absorbs the water, and it's just a natural little area.
So are you, excuse me, are you gonna maintain the roads and drainage now, or is it gonna be turned over to the town?
It was gonna be turned over to the town. Yes. So that's how we originally came up with this. So after like 4 years, whatever we've been doing, we got hit with this 2 months ago about this fence that was never spoke about, ever, till we got the engineer report. So you got 600 acres of preserved property against it. You got a 4-foot fence that,
It goes
I get it's to protect, I don't know what we're protecting. These homes are gonna be, like you said, high-end homes. It's not like, you know, whatever the case was prior. And, you know, I'm assuming 99% of the people that have landscapers, you know, no one's looking to, you know, have a problem in the back, 'cause like Jerry said, it's an association. So you can't even go into the property because the fence wraps around totally. With that, all the way to the south end of the property, there's an 8-foot deer fence that's against the farm, right to that. So we're gonna come X amount of feet off that, do another 4-foot fence, and then if they put a pool in, they're gonna have another fence. And this is all, beautiful property that's just open, it's gorgeous. And, it'll look, I think the town of Riverhead wants it to look nice. I don't think they wanna make it look like a door kennel, that's what we're trying to do in here,
Take the map off.
Yeah, this kind of shows every possible
watch
fence
it.
No, I
that
was-
might be, huh?
You're on the microphone.
You want the microphone?
Sorry. Can you pass this up to me?
I remember this going way back, and if I remember
Hey, you can't
correctly.
talk.
But, the other thing I wanted to mention was, and Greg, you had said that this, yes, we wanted to dedicate this to the town, so we have to follow the town code. Can we ask for relief from that code and still dedicate to the town? The other thing with this ponding area is it is connected to an existing pond. So when the water gets to, we have an elevation at the bottom at 36, the other pond is at 38, and the grate's at 42. So, when water collects in this, it's going to naturally move over. There's a connection pipe that moves over to the existing pond. So, if you're fencing this, you'd be fencing this as what, this is different. It's not a typical recharge basin.
If you want relief from the
Excuse me?
razor, if you want relief from the razor wire,
Yes.
I think you gotta talk to the highway superintendent. Because I have no objection to removing the razor wire, but I do feel you need the fence, the 6-foot fence.
I mean, if it's going to be, so Vinnie's comments from his memo just stated that the ponding area needs to be secured and enclosed in a manner that is consistent with the fence and gate details of the subdivision road and drainage standards. I mean, I think it's a safety concern, if this is going to be dedicated to the town, it is town property. I mean, again, will people be going in and out of it? I don't know.
I just
But
don't know.
the
I just don't know
they do have standards.
Where they have razor wire.
Again, I was corrected, it's not really razor wire.
All right. it's
Barbed wire?
Barbed wire.
Barbed wire.
Big difference.
Well, it looks like a prison camp, yeah.
I'm not disagreeing with you, just
And it's right in their backyards.
I wonder if even just for that buffer of that 4-foot fence, it's pretty easy to throw stuff over anyway. I mean, really, that's,
Yeah.
if it's 4, I would say it's got to be at least 6, because you can just throw it over.
Then why have an HOA that governs the
Well,
property?
That's right.
I'm part of one of those where I live, and let me tell you, it's not as easy as you think. It's not as easy as you think, because a lot of back and forth bickering over what should be and what shouldn't be, but that's another story. That's a whole other story. If
wouldn't
the
be
town
opposed to-
requires the fences for the safety of the residents as well, your grandkids, your small children, whatever. And I think that may be the reason for the
No, I thought-
fence getting to the drainage
The
area.
reason was to keep, are we talking about a drainage or the fence
No,
around the
well,
community?
I'm just saying that it's in between, you still have a fence, and then you have the drainage area with the fence, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, if your 3-year-old, 4-year-old, you didn't pay attention and he's out, if there's no fence, the 4-foot fence, then he's in the drainage area, you gotta be careful of all of that.
There are other communities that don't have a fence. They are not dedicated to the town. However, when I had a conversation with Greg, he said you had to, whether we dedicated it to the town or we didn't, we still had to follow the standard in the application. And I go through the golf course. There's 2 ponds back up right to Bating Hollow Golf Course, right up to the housings, to those lots. And the drainage runs directly into those ponds. There's no fence around those,
There's subdivisions all over Riverhead that
Yet-
have ponds, the seniors' places all have ponds, they all have ponds. Any of these bigger subdivisions have ponds, there's no fence around any of them. I have 1,000 pictures, I'll show you on my phone, that I took off west, I don't know, where West Church West, whatever they are.
Sunken Pond, they have
You know,
ponds too.
they all, I mean, and then you got off the golf course, right off.
Well, what's the mechanism that they used? I mean,
I think engineering-wise, maybe we should have our engineer talk about this, because I think one of the things that's different about this site is that it's not a recharge basin that you think of typically. That's what I call it, a pond, because it's not a deep type of unit.
it's a natural swell.
It's a swale that goes, and it goes into the adjacent land. So we're not really talking about the normal recharge where you dig down and have 20, 30 feet that's filled with water, because it doesn't.
Right,
It's-
that property next door is preserved, correct?
That's right, yeah, and it's gonna be that way.
I wouldn't be opposed to even split rail around the homes. I don't know what we can do with this, you know, with drainage though.
We could, I mean, so I'd have no objection to the split rail. I mean, if the board's amenable to it. I mean, in the long term, I mean, split rail fence is made out of wood, can rot, you know.
What purpose is it serving?
So,
Just the boundary.
Aesthetic?
Delineation.
Delineation,
when we-
it delineates the preserved area.
when we discussed it, the purpose was to prevent the encroachment into the preserved area.
Shouldn't the highway superintendent and the engineer weigh in on this before we?
Yeah, I mean, we don't have,
Making
there's
major
yeah, there's
provisions.
no resolution on for the board. This was just put on at the request of Mr. Cuddy to
Why
discuss
would
it
the
before
highway
the board.
superintendent have anything to do with the,
No, I'm not, I think we're talking about, I think Eileen's talking about the drainage area.
right?
I mean, would the board be amenable to change it for the fencing around the lots to allow a split rail fence?
Yes.
I
Rather
think
than
that
a
would be
4-foot?
fine.
All right, so I think we have sort of consensus on that. I think we should, I'll consult the town engineer and the highway superintendent about the fencing requirement for the drainage area.
Agreed.
Okay,
Good.
thank you.
Okay.
Great.
I guess,
We want it nice, you know what I'm saying? We want
Yeah.
the place to look nice.
We have a
I
nice
guess-
area over there.
I guess you guys had no takers from the Suffolk County people, huh?
We tried.
I mean, I remember going through this
We,
with this.
Yeah,
We
the,
waited
all
almost
this
a
lot-
year for them.
These lot divisions
money or
and
they weren't-
allowing more so that
It
you
was
could,
really low.
you could present a better
We
We
package,
would've lost money.
you know? Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys, thank you very much.
Bye.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, now we have 1792 Middle Road, Breezy Hill, with Greg again. Hi, how are you?
Very good.
so we have Steve Esquadro.
Oh, yes.
You wanna just
Yeah, just give
identify
your
yourself?
address.
Stephen Lo Squadro, 649 Route 25A, Rocky Point, New York, on behalf of the applicant.
And Chick Voorhees of NPV, Melville, New York.
Thank you. So this is an application known as Breezy Hill Group 6 LLC, AKA 1792 Middle Road. This is a site plan application seeking approval to redevelop a 6.68 acre parcel which currently has a single-family residence, 1.5-story frame barn garage, swimming pool, and they were going to repurpose it for a construction and demolition debris processing facility. Back in 2022, the board, after a SECRA review on the project, actually issued a negative finding statement on the application and issued a denial for the preliminary site plan application. There is a provision in our code, it's Town Code Section 301-305C1, which does allow for an applicant to proceed with a denied preliminary site plan application and make an application for final. So what the applicant did, they submitted a final site plan application. They did submit a draft scope, which I distributed to the board. Basically, what the preliminary site plan denial approval resolution called for was given an avenue which would require the preparation of a supplemental EIS, which would study items that were not adequately studied or not addressed thoroughly in the EIS.
Did the applicant make it clear whether it's gonna be a retail or wholesale operation?
That's something that's that was one of the major points from the initial SECRA review. So that's something that's going to have to be addressed very clearly in the supplemental
Okay,
EIS.
thank you.
So this is sort of uncharted territory for myself as well as the board. I've never reviewed an application where we denied a preliminary, but we're operating within the mechanisms of our code. So I have a resolution to issue the positive declaration, being that it has been a while since the board has visited this. We do have a new member. I do recommend the board hold a scoping session on this, just to make sure that all the issues are, thoroughly addressed, make sure the board doesn't miss anything. So I have a resolution to schedule that public scoping session. It will be the first meeting in September. And it's really just going through the process again.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
we'll be prepared. Thank you very much.
Great job, Greg. Thank you. Take care.
Bye, have a good day.
Thanks again.
Bye. All right, and our last discussion is 1309 OCR Automobile Dealership. Wrapping it up.
Yes. All right, so this is just a quick follow-up on the 1309 OCR Automobile Dealership Site Plan. It's a site plan application seeking approval to develop a new 18,000 square foot automobile dealership with related automobile repair space on a property located at 1309 Old Country Road. The applicant did submit a traffic impact statement in connection with this project. Pursuant to town code, I do have a resolution to allow the board to retain L.K. McLean as a traffic consultant. That would be funded by the applicant, so there would be no expense to the taxpayer. This is similar to what we did recently for the Phoenicia Square site plan application, just to put an extra set of professional eyes on the traffic study to make sure that we're not missing anything.
Where is this?
This is it's on 1309 Old Country Road. It fronts on Old Country Road and Osborne Avenue. On the corner of it, there's a gas station. Right now, there's the three buildings that are sort of vacant. It was an old used truck sales lot, and the other rest of the buildings were used as various storage. Right next to Rocco's Pizza,
It's on the north side.
on the south side of the road.
South side.
Yeah, so front, it has access on both Old Country Road and Osborne Avenue.
Has any of the sanitary issues been discussed or further along? Because I know they were trying to...
It's my understanding that the applicant just had a meeting with the neighboring property owner, so they are discussing trying to connect Rocco's to give them a sanitary easement through the
Nice.
property to connect to Osborne Avenue. So this is just a resolution to retain L.K. McLean as a traffic consultant, put a professional engineer set of eyes on the traffic study.
Great. Okay. Thank you, Greg.
Welcome.
Let's move on to public comments on the resolutions.
Good afternoon, Mike Foley, Reeves Park. I'd like to comment on resolution number 62, the Zarovich McKenzie lot line modification. These two property owners live in Reeves Park, which is my community. They notified all of their neighbors. No one had a problem with it. This is certainly a benign use, and I support the resolution. Greg, I would ask you to make a correction on the location of it.
Yes, it is not Wading River, yes, I did notice.
It's in Baiting Hollow in particular, and Riverhead in general. Thank you.
All right, doesn't look like we have anyone else, so if we can move resolutions.
Move resolution number 61 for Little Lucharitos, AKA Good Juju's Barbecue and Seafood. So moved.
Second?
Vote, please. Bear?
Yes?
Nenaro?
Aye.
Hogan?
Yep.
Nacesky?
Aye.
Woski, yes.
Move resolution number 62, granting an extension and a lot line modification for Zorich McKenzie. Second?
Vote, please. Bear?
Yes?
Nenaro?
Aye.
Hogan?
Yes.
Nacesky?
Aye.
Woski, yes.
I'll move resolution 63 for Riverhead Cement Block Minor Subdivision to grant an extension for the approval of the two-lot minor subdivision. So moved.
Second motion?
Vote, please. Bear?
Yes.
Nenaro?
Aye.
Hogan?
Yes.
Nacesky?
Aye.
Woski, yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, John.
Okay. I make a motion to move resolution number 064 17292, 1792 Middle Road, Breezy Hill. Resolution issuing a positive declaration pursuant with Sequoia.
Second motion?
Vote, please. Bear?
Yes.
Nenaro?
Aye.
Hogan?
Yes.
Nacesky?
Aye.
Woski, yes.
I move resolution number 65, retaining LK McLean Associates as traffic consultants to the board.
Second?
Vote, please. Bear?
Yes.
Nenaro?
Aye.
Hogan?
Yes.
Nacesky?
Aye.
Woski, yes. All right. Do we have any public comments on all matters?
Good afternoon, Mike Foley, Reeves Park. Since the last planning board meeting, where the Cider House resolution was approved 3-2, I and other like-minded residents were pondering what the next steps were. And we decided that there were a few next steps. But the first step, the step I felt that was the most diplomatic, was for me to send an email to George and to Eddie and to Joe, and copied the town attorney, that just put in writing why I felt this Cider House resolution deserved a 5-0 no vote. About a day after I sent that email, George was good enough to call me and spend some time on the phone with me, and we had a reasonable conversation where we agreed to disagree. But I asked him to do a couple of things. I asked him because he has been sitting since 2015 with Joe and Eddie, and that Joe and Eddie found a reason to vote no on this. If he could at least reach out to Ed and talk about this. George, did you get a chance to do that?
Yes, I did.
Well, George, I want to thank you for that. I want to thank you for the time that you spent with me, and I want to thank you for the time that you took in speaking to Ed. And Ed, I want to thank you for taking the call. And I guess I'll find out shortly if it was successful in my book or not. But regardless of the success, I appreciate your time.
You're quite welcome.
George, was there any way that you would consider, because under Robert's Rules of New York State law, a motion to reconsider a vote must be brought up and by the prevailing party, the three of you that voted yes, and then seconded by somebody else. After speaking to Eddie, have you put any thought on putting up a motion to reconsider this vote?
No, and let me say this to you, Mr. Foley. As I indicated during our phone conversation yesterday, I'm not an attorney. None of us here on the board are attorneys. We seek the advice of other attorneys in making decisions. This was not done without seeking the advice of attorneys. And after seeking their advice, we decided that, personally, I decided, I can't speak for the other members, but personally I decided that the yes vote was the way to go. I explained to you the reason why. That's the reason I made my decision. I did think about it. And I came up with the same decision that I made 2 weeks ago, today.
Well, I'm sorry about that, and certainly Ed and Joe, who were senior members, found a reason to say no. And it's baffling to me how covenants that were agreed to and were important in 2015 and 2017 were ignored by this applicant. And we talked about your confidence that this is going to be the last straw, that nothing else is going to happen on this property. That remains to be seen. I hope you're right. I know there's an awful lot of people in the neighborhood that are very upset with this. They're very, very upset by the way it happened. We feel that we are putting the town in jeopardy with future potential litigation because we believe it is a disparity between the Bating Hollow Farm Vineyard vote and the Cider House vote. Time will tell. But I will say this. Joanne, there's just no question in my mind that you're not good for this town sitting on the planning board. And you're certainly not going to be good for this town as a candidate for council in November.
Let's keep politics out of this, please.
I'm sorry?
We'll keep politics out of this,
Well,
please.
I'm here for a public comment. I'll comment any way I want. So let me continue, and I'll be brief. It will be my hope that with 2 council seats available in November and 4 candidates, that you come in number 4 on election night. It is also my hope that the one that succeeds Yvette, we know we're going to have a new supervisor. We don't know if it's going to be Tim or if it's going to be Angela.
Okay, I'm putting an end to this
But
right now.
regardless, well, I've got time.
No.
And,
you
you're not
don't.
gonna
You
put an
don't.
end to
This
it.
is not about politics.
You're not going to put an end to it.
I am putting an end to it.
Well,
I'd like
let me
to
just
leave the
talk right
meeting.
over you. You
No,
could kill
I'd
the
like you to
cameras.
leave the meeting.
We'll see you at the, we
I
will
am
see you.
asking you, as the chair of this board, to leave this meeting
Yeah.
right now.
And I will say
Take
you're out of
politics
order.
out of this.
Point of order, Madam Chair.
Yep.
You know, I guess you're not familiar with Robert's rules.
I
That's
am
obvious to
familiar
me.
with Robert's rules.
You're clueless.
No,
You're clueless.
you
We'll
just,
see
you
in
don't
November.
like they got shut down on what
We'll see you in November.
you wanted me to say for you last week.
We'll see you in November.
Yes, we will.
Ken Zolnicki from Riverhead. I just want to say this to the board. The Zolnicki family have been here in town of Riverhead for over 100 years. And what I've seen these last 2 meetings from Mr. Foley, I have never seen before. Whether you are wrong or right, no citizen of the town should ever threaten anyone on any board because they don't like the decision. I can tell you everything about the Sound Avenue, what the cider mill was. It was an old potato factory, treat factory. I don't have a horse in the race. But I can tell the people of the town of Riverhead, Eddie, Joanne, have done their homework. They do not make decisions for personal reasons. They make decisions because they listen to the attorney, they do their homework, then they make the decisions. And you know what's quite refreshing is that there are 2 different decisions. And I respect that. But if you can't respect it, at least be, decent about it. I just wish Mr. Foley would, fight for his arguments. I understand that. But be respectful. And I kind of wish he would apologize to the entire board for his outbreak on the last meeting. Because Mr. Foley has decent arguments, but he does not speak for my family. He does not speak for the town of Riverhead, and I'm kind of glad he doesn't. I thank you for your time, and gentlemen, enjoy.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you. Okay, do we have anyone else?
I'll move the minutes of the July 6th meeting. I'll move.
Second.
Vote, please. Sorry, Mayor.
Before I say anything, I did not get the minutes.
Oh.
They were sent to the town emails.
Who?
The town.
Your new
assigned
email.
town emails.
Where is that? I don't get it. I've never had any trouble before this.
We'll put you in touch with
Okay,
IT.
can we take this off then for this meeting, and we'll put it on for the next meeting?
No, that's okay. Continue. What I did before I voted, I just wanted to say, I wanted to be able to get the minutes. So therefore I abstained.
Guys, excuse me?
Please, we're conducting a
Go
meeting.
outside and have a conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
Okay, so you're just going to abstain?
I'll abstain.
Okay,
Aye.
All right.
aye. Okay, other business? Correspondences? Our next meeting date is Thursday, August 3rd, 2023, at 6 PM. Thank you, everyone who came out, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you.